Hey, I'm Mack. Welcome back to my coffee table. Yeah, I I randomly just chose to film here for the new intro to my first Rachel Hollis video, and I was like, oh man, I kind of like this setup. Maybe we'll stick with it, but knowing me, probably not. We'll probably keep changing it around, keeping it fresh, but I'll try to keep a consistent aesthetic. So we need to talk about Rachel Hollis one more time because we have an update about her. Also, and this isn't the update, but it is kind of an update. Well, it's an update for me. It was suggested that I cover the instances of plagiarism by Rachel Hollis. So I thought I would go ahead and do that. I would cover them and kind of review and summarize them. Then we also have another piece of content that I had the misfortune of seeing from her recently that I feel needs to be highlighted. So we're going to go through that after we do this review and summary of the instances where she plagiarized. And spoiler alert, there are a lot of them. So I think that we all are aware of the initial round of accusations made against Rachel Hollis. The earliest that I was aware of them, the earliest ones I was aware of was the BuzzFeed article that came out January 31st of 2019. But today I found, this is probably what initially sparked that off, is a post on Instagram by at Digital Content Police. And this was about Rachel Hollis's Instagram page that she was using at the time to post these text posts, like how you post like a quote or whatever in a pretty font with colors and everything. And that account was at Motivation for Mamas. And the post by Digital Content Police said this. I just say, like, my search feed, like the feed that it shows you when you press the search button, I don't know why it shows me so many half-naked white guys, but it is missing some key points about my taste is all I'm going to say about that. Okay. So the post by Digital Content Police says, at Miss Rachel Hollis, your page at Motivation for Mamas has dozens of words, quotes, and memes made by parent bloggers that you have plagiarized and put your name on. Edit. Go look at my pinned stories on my page for a video collection of memes stolen by her. The various authors have reached out to you to remove their intellectual property, and you have not responded or have blocked and deleted their comments. What exactly do you stand for? How would you like if people took your quotes and put their name on them? It's unethical as an author and as a person. Have you noticed the majority of huge bloggers don't promote your book or you? It's because of your unethical plagiarism practices. Girl, stop plagiarizing. So that's quite the accusation. I'm not sure if the pinned stories are still up because this was December 2018. So let's see here. Oh, they are. Cool. So let me just start screen recording. Wow. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is terrible. Oh, wow. So wow. Oof. So actually, I don't think I had seen those accusations before. I thought that those might have been the same as the ones that were on the BuzzFeed article. So that's a whole other slew of repeatedly plagiarized content that was plagiarized from less widely known bloggers and Instagram influencers. So yeah, so that's from that original set of accusations was published in December of 2018. So I don't know if anybody else had seen that already. I don't believe I had seen that covered in a video yet. So I thought I would put that out there. And that post is still up and everything on at Digital Content Police on their Instagram page. So it's pretty bad. So at that time in December of 2018, she had only released Girl Wash Your Face in February of 2018. So she still was kind of more familiar to people in the blogging space as being a blogger. So she has established this pattern of stealing from people in her own industry, like in her own genre. And this is a theme that has continued with her. So, and it's a major problem because you're going to lose the support of your community, just like she did as explained by at Digital Content Police. So it's like when you think when you think you know all of the shit that she's done, you learn that there's more. It's insane. But, you know, we know that Rachel has always been a very apologetic, very accountable, very, you know, when I think of Rachel Hollis, I think of accountability. So let's see what she had to say for herself. On December 20th of 2018, she commented on that post by at Digital Content Police, and she said, "Thank you so much for bringing this to my attention. I created the account as a way to lift up other mamas, and it's not for profit in any way, but I'm mortified my team." I'm mortified my team didn't properly credit authors before they created and posted content. I have removed all the quotes you cited in your highlights and will reach out to personally apologize to the authors you mentioned and ask how I can make it right. Please let me know if you see any others I'm missing. Are you guys shocked that she blamed her team? Even without this having happened in 2018 and her having said this about her team in 2018, you still would be able to fault her for her team by saying, you know, you hired your team. Assuming that the plagiarism was completely something your team did and that you did not know it was occurring, you hired this team and you created the culture in which this plagiarism took place. Because that's what leadership does. So at the end of the day, even if you were completely unaware that they were doing this, which why aren't you reviewing their work? Okay. You're still responsible as the leader because you took their application and looked at their resume and everything, and you interviewed them and you hired these people because you felt that they were qualified and that they were people that you would feel comfortable having work at your company. And you created a culture in which plagiarism was seen to be acceptable conduct, or at least someone believed that they would be able to get away with it. They either thought it was okay or they thought they could get away with it. So even if you had no idea about this, it's still your fault because you're the leader. You hired this team and you created the culture in which they worked, and you clearly just didn't do enough to vet this team. So I'm not going to be accepting that as an excuse because that's not how leadership works. Furthermore, one would think that if she had been burned by something that happened from her team, supposedly, one would think that one would be very, very motivated to do a much more stringent, strict, very thorough vetting process for their team in the future, and would make it extremely clear that plagiarism is not acceptable at the Hollis company. Because you've been burnt, you say that you've been burned by this extensively. You had some people on your team who, from those examples, plagiarized many, many times consistently and got you called out. One would think that going forward, you would be extremely rigorous in your vetting process when selecting your next team, because I would assume that team would be fired. If you ask me, plagiarism, if that's really what happened, assuming that your story is true, if that's really what happened, that they should have been terminated immediately, because that is plagiarism. And as someone who is in a writing and blogging space, you cannot have plagiarism happening. Plagiarism is basically the writing equivalent of having someone who works at a store and is caught stealing from the store. You're fired. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You are fired. You can't have a thief working at your store. You just can't. That's it. No, that's it. We're done. And maybe you might be prosecuted as well. So the fact that happened as early as 2018 either means that she started lying really early on, and even if she wasn't lying then, it establishes that she should have done a better job vetting her team then, and done a very rigorous and very detailed and very by the book job of establishing a culture where plagiarism is clearly unacceptable, and that it is communicated that plagiarism is unacceptable, and perhaps establishing some type of review process where, I don't know, someone submits content to you for approval. You could ask them, did you come up with this? Is this your idea? Did you come up with this? And just double check, maybe they just if the team accidentally forgot to credit people, just forgot to credit people. I have to say though, that usually the phrase, I forgot to credit them, means I was hoping that I could pass it off as my own without getting caught, but now I've gotten caught. But whatever. Let's say that they truly forgot to credit people, which again, why do your writers not know that they need to credit people? But you could establish a review process where you go, if it's not, is this your idea? And if they say, no, I got it from here. Okay, well then you're like, okay, well you need to credit that before you post it. And we need to go over what needs to be credited. Boom. So one would think that never again should a similar instance of plagiarism happen from the Rachel Hollis company or her team. Because it's happened once, and that one instance was really many, many consistent instances. So if this happens again after this 2018 incident, I would say that is a major failure of leadership, and perhaps speaks to the lack of respect toward other people's work on the part of the management of the Hollis company. Because if it continues, then clearly we're not taking the appropriate actions to ensure a work culture that promotes crediting people for their work and strictly punishes plagiarism and has strict procedures in place for ensuring plagiarism does not occur. And that has cleared the bench of any employees that felt that plagiarism was acceptable behavior. So there shouldn't be any of that after 2018. Shouldn't be any reason for the team to be plagiarizing, because surely you, Rachel, the very great businesswoman you are, would know the steps that you need to take as the leader of this organization to prevent this from happening in the future, because it is your responsibility, especially once you've seen this behavior once. Because let me tell you, there are a lot of people in similar positions to the Hollis company. There are a lot of motivational speakers, there are a lot of bloggers and everything, but they don't have this happen. And they have teams too. But this doesn't happen for them. It only happens for you, Rachel Hollis. So, with all the other variables being the same, it seems like there's a correlation between plagiarism and Rachel Hollis. Because there's so many similar writers with social media accounts and social media teams that this just doesn't happen for. So I don't know, maybe ask them how they do it. Yeah. So that's why that story is bullshit. And then anyway, following that, on January 31st of 2019, the BuzzFeed writer Stephanie McNeil published an article on BuzzFeed News detailing multiple instances of plagiarism from other more well-known authors and speakers and public figures. The BuzzFeed article also pointed out the similarity of the title of Rachel Hollis's upcoming book that was scheduled to come out in March of 2019, Girls Stop Apologizing, that it was very similar to the title of a book released in 2016 by the Canadian professor and author Maya Jovanovic. And that book was titled Hey Ladies, Stop Apologizing. And that was in 2016 that book came out. Whereas Rachel's was coming out in the upcoming March of 2019. And despite this, just like all the other times before it, it was released to massive success despite, her being accused of essentially hundreds of counts of plagiarism in just the past 4 months before the release. But whatever, I guess, fairness, who cares? Originality, who cares? So the next event in the timeline after that came in the form of the Beachbody Summit, where Rachel spoke on July 12th of 2019. This was covered by KIKI CHANEL in her video about that. She posted that on July 22nd of 2019. And in her video, she summarized and cited the BuzzFeed article because she cites her sources, unlike some people. She cited and summarized the BuzzFeed news article before then going into the footage from the Rachel Hollis speech at the Beachbody Summit conference and going through to detail at least 5 instances in that speech where Rachel Hollis directly plagiarized from another guru or self-help author in the words of her speech, and never credited any of those people. So within a speech under 60 minutes, Rachel Hollis plagiarized at least 5 times. So that's about once every 11 minutes, assuming that we are evenly spreading out the shit stain of plagiarism on that speech. So, all of that's pretty terrible. It was really, it's kind of just a little bit maddening to have someone just keep seemingly getting away with shit like this. Whatever. The next notable event I have in my timeline is in April of 2020, when posted to the Ms. Rachel Hollis page was the quote, "Still I Rise," which of course is plagiarized from the title of a poem by Maya Angelou. And Rachel took full, accountability and, just said, I'm completely responsible for this. I'm just kidding. She blamed her team because, and the 2018 accusations about plagiarizing from other bloggers and this instance of plagiarism from Maya Angelou, these are the only times that she's responded to accusations of plagiarism, by the way. Probably because the plagiarism from a Black woman inspired a lot more outrage, because it is a more egregious offense to take without credit the content, the work of a Black woman. When you're a white woman, you have all of this privilege, all this historical wealth that has been transferred from a marginalized group. That's just not enough. You've got to just appropriate even more without credit so that you can sell it, so that you can sell tickets to your fucking Rise conference. It's just, well, let's see what she had to say for herself, and let's see what words she used to just throw her team's ass under the bus. Let's see here. Oh God. So she included a picture of a heart, so that's something. Here's her. Well, this article actually mistakenly calls this an apology, but upon reading it, that must be a typo, because the prefix non should be in front of that. It's a non-apology. So here we go. This morning, I found out that my social media team, boy, they got you in 2018 and they're getting you again, I guess. So, again with the hiring and culture. This morning, I found out that my social media team posted a graphic on my Instagram yesterday that said, "Still I rise." That is obviously an immortal line from a Maya Angelou poem, only no credit was given to her. I immediately deleted the post, but I want to make sure and publicly apologize. While I didn't create or post the graphic, I am the leader of the team that did, and I accept full responsibility for their actions. Why? No, you didn't. That should have been the beginning of it. You should have just said sorry at the beginning. Okay? And this isn't even your first time. Okay, here we go. I am the leader of the team that did, and so I accept full responsibility for their actions. I can't imagine how deeply hurtful it is to the African-American community to see the words of your heroes used without credit. This has happened to you far too often, and I literally hate that anything produced by my company added to your pain. Which is a remark that has aged incredibly. I would assume that comparing yourself to Harriet Tubman is included in that category, but I guess not. Whatever. That anything produced by my company added to your pain. I heard once that the only real apology was one where you didn't make an excuse, and so I won't. Yes, you did. This morning I found out that my social media team posted a graphic on my Instagram yesterday that said, "Still I rise." That is obviously an immortal line from a Maya Angelou poem, only no credit was given to her. I immediately deleted the post. You already did. You already made an excuse. I am deeply sorry. I understand that this post without credit is not a little thing to you. This is death by 1,000 cuts. This is the millionth type of incident like this that you've experienced. That's accurate, yeah. But again, this is not okay. I apologize sincerely. We will do better. It's like rain on your wedding day. See, God damn it. I feel like I'm covering a Greek tragedy. God. It's bad enough to shift the blame to your team, claim it was without your knowledge or whatever, then say that you're not going to make an excuse after you made a massive excuse. And then this in the context of the fact that your team supposedly had done this before repeatedly. And you failed to make sure that you had a team and a culture that wouldn't do this. And they did it again, and worse, they did it from a woman of color. And it was what? Let's see. That happened. The accusations, the first accusations were in December of 2018. So a year and 4 months later, we're having this problem again. Other social media figures don't have this problem. That's the only way. That's all I can think. So one would think this would be the last incident of this type that we would see from Hollis and her band of word thieves and appropriators. You would think, but you would be wrong. Because In October of 2020, the Rise Company Instagram page, which is another social media face of her whole empire, whatever, posted a carousel with this cover talking about habit stacking. I first heard about this from Emily C. Baker's video covering this post. And like Emily and like many others, I'm sure, upon seeing this graphic, I immediately knew this is from Atomic Habits. This is from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. I've read that book. Like, it's straight out of Atomic Habits. And worse, when you scroll through the carousel, the two of the three examples are directly out of the book. There's no credit given. Nowhere does it say that this wasn't their original idea. The post is still up to this day as of April 18th, 2021. That post is still up. The caption hasn't been updated to give credit. It's never been addressed. And she's never spoken about the accusations on it. So again, we're still plagiarizing from other authors, other figures, other speakers. We're still plagiarizing. I don't understand. And it would have been pretty easy to do that post correctly, because it's not that you can't talk about habit stacking. All you would have to do is say habit stacking, a concept from Atomic Habits by James Clear. That sentence would take like maybe 5 seconds to type and add to that graphic. It would have been fine. But instead, you just put it there for your audience to assume that you came up with it. Maybe every time you brush your teeth, you should credit people for their work. How's that for a habit stack? It's infuriating that she just gets away with this again and again and again and again. So we have an ongoing pattern of behavior from at least December of 2018, but clearly before that, since the examples must have happened before that, before they were initially called out. And it's every time she apologized in December 2018, said it was her team, whatever. Then it happened again and again and again and again. Frankly, for me, one instance of getting caught plagiarizing, and I'm done with you. I'm done with you. I'm not interested in any of your work in the future. I don't care what you do after that. There's no redemption for plagiarism. You knew what you were doing. You took someone's life's work and you put it up saying that it was yours, and then you put it up for sale so that you could profit off of it when you didn't write it. You didn't create it. And you knew that. And you did it anyway. And how is anyone supposed to know whether your work in the future is your work, or if you're just passing off other people's work as your own again? So I don't care, what apology you issue. I don't give a shit. I'm done with you. I don't ever want to read any of your shit again. But it probably doesn't matter because I'm not in the target audience for Rachel Hollis. I'm just saying that's how it would be for me if I were in the target audience, because I don't think that there's any redemption or forgiveness for plagiarism even once. Even once. But the fact that it is an ongoing, regular occurrence. We can't even point to a year, to a span of a year in which there hasn't been an instance of her plagiarizing from other people without credit. And in most of the cases, without even responding, let alone issuing another non-apology where she blames her team that clearly she didn't learn from the first time. That's still inexcusable, because after it happened to you once, you should have been a lot more diligent in your hiring process and in the creation of your work culture. But clearly you didn't do that, because clearly plagiarism doesn't matter to you. You know what I say? I always say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you again. Because repetition doesn't mean that you aren't culpable still. Okay? Yeah. The last thing that I want to leave you with about Rachel Hollis is this segment from this series of videos that she does called Rach Talk. I know, creative, whatever. It's almost as creative as Mack Attack. I found this shocking, and it kind of, it's just another thing that speaks to her attitude about just taking pieces of people's identities and how kind of entitled she feels to everything. I don't know. You'll see. Oh, and just being kind of arrogant.
Should we play Do You Know That Country?
Yeah, sure.
Where in the world is...
I mean, I'm telling you, the only one I've got for you is Italy, because it's shaped like a boot. That's all I got. I don't know anything else.
What's this one?
That?
This.
Is that Russia? What? Okay. You thought it was Russia too? Okay. Me and Jack, we don't know. Okay. It's a big one. So that's India? No. Oh, Russia's that guy. So that's Germany? I'm telling you, I am so smart in so many ways. This is not one of them. Is it Russia? I can't even guess a country that's by Russia. Poland. Oh, man. I thought China was bigger. Wait, Russia's bigger than China? Holy crap. Can we just talk about like a global superpower? Just like, what happened, Russia? What happened?
You name dropped Uzetian, and you don't even know where the country she ruled is. That's cultural appropriation at its fucking finest. It is so embarrassing for those of us who have to share the identity of American with you. Those of us who know where China is. Those of us who know that it's kind of important to the history of China that modern day Russia and modern day Mongolia share land borders. with China. Those of us that know that Russia is larger in area than China, and in fact is the largest country by area. Those of us who know that Germany is not in Asia, that Poland is not in Asia. It is so embarrassing to have to see you, to a potentially worldwide audience, displaying your ignorance and, frankly, your laziness, that you cannot take 5 seconds to learn where a country is, to learn even the most basic information about where your fellow human beings are. It is so embarrassing. So I just thought I would let you know that it is utterly humiliating to see you just flex this American ignorance and arrogance to the rest of the world. There's really no excuse for it, because you know what, Rachel? Maps can be
found on the internet for free.
You can learn geography and where China is
On a YouTube video.
There's no excuse for being that ignorant and for refusing to learn the most rudimentary information about countries, especially if you're going to name drop the cultural icons of that country. There's no excuse for not knowing even the most rudimentary information about them. It wouldn't take that much time. It's just straight up arrogance, American privilege, and laziness, and it's so embarrassing for those of us who don't share in your ignorance and laziness. And you know, it's not, I don't know why you're laughing, because I don't find that funny. I don't see what's funny about the fact that you're that ignorant. And I certainly wouldn't be broadcasting that, but I guess you think it's funny, that you don't have to know anything about the rest of the world. So you decided, like, let's edit that and let's post that on YouTube. So I just thought that was just incredible. Incredible. Final update about Rachel Hollis. She posted this. And this is the one thing that I'm going to have anything nice to say about. So let me just prepare for that. This was posted to the Rise Company page. And I believe this was posted yesterday. While it's difficult to make the decision to postpone an event, we are taking this as an opportunity to do better. In light of her recent social media posts and after much reflection from our founder, Rachel has chosen to take the necessary time to listen, learn, and do the work to make real and genuine change. We know this additional time will bring some meaningful and powerful changes to the Rise Women's Weekend, and we look forward to being together in community soon. And so the Rise Women's Weekend has been rescheduled from May 14th to May 16th to Labor Day weekend 2021. I will say this is the right decision here, or it's at least one of many right decisions that could be made, but at least we're making one right decision. I at least do think it is certainly advisable that you stop just steamrolling ahead with everything and just, you know, you need to take a step back, because this is the most recent shit with the TikTok post is that's not something where you can bounce back from it and have that be accepted as a genuinely appropriate and acceptable response. It's definitely the right decision that she needs to like step the fuck back and I don't know, generally just like get it together and come back better, and I mean actually better this time. And that means like not in a place where you're still going to be blaming your team. Okay, I want you to have a team that won't need to be blamed, because that's your job, is to hire a team that won't need to be blamed and to create a culture that won't create incidents that need to be blamed, and to seriously be more aware of your own fucking privilege, because it is exhausting. It's terrible. It's so cringy. Yeah, stop plagiarizing, and yeah. I mean, again, can't redeem yourself with me, but I mean, I'm not your target market. Anyway, and I'm hoping that's all I have to say about Rachel Hollis for a while, like, because like maybe she'll be like for a little bit, and if anything is going to help her become a better person, I think that's probably it. Usually, like, staying on social media doesn't make one a better person, but we'll see. I've been Mack. Peace out. Bye.
Sé que te quiero, sé que te encanto, pero no te amo, el amor es un juego. Dime que me quieres, dime que te gusto, no digas que me amas, el amor es un juego. Sé que te quiero, sé que te encanto, pero no te amo, el amor es un juego. Dime que me quieres, dime que te gusto, no digas que me amas, el amor es un juego. Sé que te quiero, sé que te encanto, pero no te amo, el amor es un juego. Dime que me quieres, dime que te gusto, no digas que me amas, el amor es un juego.